Real heavy!
What's up, everybody?
We're back again with new backgrounds.
Yeah, I'm in a church, and Rhett is in
Space.
a poopy swamp.
A sludgy, disgusting, shit pile.
Yeah. Thanks for checking out this episode. We're a little late to the party on releasing these February episodes, just life and everything, work being so busy. But if you get a chance, check out our death metal episode, which will be kind of the sister episode to this one that we filmed just before this one. This episode is geared towards everything else other than the death metal and black metal that we listened to in February, which was a lot.
Mm-hmm.
This is like our everything else episode. So metalcore, gent, sludge, doom, post metal, hardcore, post hardcore, all the good.
Yeah, prog. Got a lot of prog in there.
Yeah, so it's a pretty heavy month for all different genres, but I feel like there's a lot of really interesting stuff that we'll talk about in this episode too, which some bands I've heard before, but most of them, honestly, I haven't. So, yeah, it was really interesting month.
I'd say so too. And some cool little side projects that kind of got released under the radars and stuff like that too. So it was a good mix of everything. Yeah.
Yeah. And some legacy shit, which we'll talk about, but maybe you kick it off there, Rhett.
I'll kick it off. First one. This is a band that I would say I'm late to the party of. I've never listened to any of their material before they released this album. It's a progressive rock band from Australia called Karnivool, and their album In Verses. Even though this was like the first time that I've listened to this band, like I'd say I'm pretty surprised with their release. But I'd say like they are pretty much like, if you look up the definition of prog metal, like a prog rock, that's what you're gonna get. Like they have some heavier parts, but like for the most part, it's pretty progressive rock. I'd say like the closest band I can think that sounded like them would be like Tool, with like the clean singing and like the overall sound of the guitars, the ambient atmosphere. Like they're not as technical as Tool, like in terms of like the time signatures and stuff like that, but just their tone is very, very Tool-esque. Like each song is like highly layered and super dimensional, lots of moving parts. And it's not, like I said, it's not technical by any stretch of the imagination. But like the atmospheric pieces and everything kind of creates a more methodical listening experience and kind of adds depth in that realm instead of without the musicianship so much. The runtime for this album is like over an hour long, so like it's hard to make it a reoccurring listen in a sense, but I think it's one of those where you basically have to carve out time to listen to it. It's definitely worth listening to over an hour. It's just that it might make it hard to revisit it down the road. But it's a good palate cleanser, I'd say, for like, you need something just to kind of smooth things out, mellow things out. Still has some cool, atmosphere and like ambience to kind of let your brain decompress and stuff like that. But like it'll still be an album that will require your full attention, front to back, but it's definitely not skipping in any technical department. So I think it's a surprising addition to the top albums for us. Again, one that I was not on my radar when the month began, but pretty solid album.
That's sick. Yeah, it's a good like thing to throw on when you're on a long ass car ride or something.
I remember, like, I don't remember the albums, but just after I listened to this album, I listened to some of their earlier stuff. Like, I can't remember. Like, I think it was just because it recommended it after I listened to this album, and it's like the earlier stuff sounded a little heavier. Now, I don't know if that was just me in a different headspace or if it actually was, but I might have to go back and to revisit it. So
Cool. So I'm going to start things off for February with some mathcore.
Ooh.
Some yeehaw Radom Cowboy mathcore. This is this is a band from Ireland called UNCULTIVATES with their album This Will Become Clear Later, like the French Revolution. Extremely long title, but this is mathcore hardcore hoedown, bringing all types of shenanigans with it. It's a chaotic and mathy hardcore / post-hardcore band from Ireland, and if you were shopping in the grocery store of riffs, this would be in the same aisle as bands like Every Time I Die, Dead Guy, the Calistow Boys. First of all, I almost completely was like not interested after looking at the album cover because it's
You would
just
never
like
guess. You would never guess.
No. I was like, if I was okay, I know we don't go to record stores anymore, but if we were in like a CD Plus or a record store and this album was on the shelf with no context, you look at it and think, great, another campy renegade country folk band, but you definitely can't judge a book by its cover with this one, because this album is really good. It's definitely unique, I'll say that. So it kind of has this like aesthetic and this theme of like very outlaw and cowboy-esque, even with some of the lyrical content, which focuses on like the airing of specific grievances, modern day problems or issues, and really bizarre scenarios. But musically, it has like super hefty riffs with like a country twang to it, almost like a bluesy twang to it. Really catchy and like memorable breakdowns, similar to what you'd find with like Better Lovers or even Calistow Boys. And then super mathy and hardcore infused aggression. This album is really sharp, it's aggressive, it's extremely heavy, it's really hostile, contrary to the album cover and the overall concept. But this album is a hootin' and hollering good time that will have you do-si-doing and line dancing in your living room.
They're taking the two-step from country and bringing it over to the hardcore side, fusing the two together.
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
I can only
So
imagine
you guys
the pin there.
Yeah. Let's doot scoot boogie.
Boot scoot boogie, two-step, throw down, hoe down, and the wall of death.
Yeah. No, it was kind of a fun album, and one of those albums that was like a surprise and delight. So super highly recommended.
Sick. Yeah. Like one. Yeah. You would never guess.
Mm-hmm.
This one, I don't know if you would ever guess either. If you weren't in the know of some of the underground. It's a one-man project by the name Sun Guts and the album Kilonova. Now, if you are been living under a rock and you don't know who Car Bomb is, then you obviously don't know who Greg Kubaki is. Then you obviously don't know that this is his project, and it is sick as shit. Like it's essentially you take Car Bomb, and it's just no lyrics and no vocals, and it's just like pure Car Bomb bliss is what it is. It's just like you are just hanging out listening to just skronky riffs, dive bombs, everything else that you can think of in a typical Car Bomb song is in this album, and it's so much fun to listen to. It's like you have that balance between like some lighter atmospheric parts, but then again, like you still have like the iconic pitch shifting from like typical Car Bomb pitch shifting, and then the rise and the falls and the mathy riffs and everything. Like it just makes it so much fun. It's like this is the album that you throw on when you need impossible not the headbang challenge, because like I could not get through this album without like bouncing around and like moving my head in some capacity. It's just it's so great. And like 34 minutes, it's such a tight runtime too. And especially for something like this, because if you're someone who's not used to so much chaos in their music, it could be a little bit overwhelming. So it's nice that, again, it's a shorter runtime, has some atmosphere to help break things up. But it all in all, it's just such a fun, mathy, heavy record. And again, like Car Bomb, Frontier, those are your two that are exactly like this. So if you like those, then this album will just be a chef's kiss. So we gotta say thanks to Greg for blessing our ears with this one.
Yeah,
thanks, Greg.
It's so good. Yeah.
It is unreal.
My next one is new Converge, baby.
Hell yeah.
We are so fucking back.
It is insane.
This is Converge's new album, Love Is Not Enough. This is a band that never misses for me. Like every time they put out a new album, I always think that it's like their best album. And this album is no exception to that. I think that this is their best work to date. And the reason why I say that is because there are a lot of elements in this album that tip their hats to their roots. Like they're super aggressive albums like Jane Doe and You Fail Me, but it's still like really modern and super tight, and it has kind of like that crusty, sludgy, post-metal-y sound to it, almost like a perfect follow-up to their album Axe to Fall. And they put out a kind of like a more experimental project called Blood Moon. But this album kind of ditches that experimentalism, and it focuses more on just pure pissed off hardcore aggression, like classic Converge. This is like the perfect Converge album for somebody who is just getting into Converge, because it blends their old sound with kind of like their new modern sound. So it has something for every era of Converge fan. And it's funny, like I've talked to people about Converge, and it's kind of one of those bands where like you can have an OG like metalhead or hardcore kid that, you know, didn't really get old Converge, and then they kind of just never listened to them again. And then you have people that just got into them at like Axe to Fall or No Heroes, and they're like, oh, this is sick, you know? And then they find themselves going back and listening to their older stuff. So every Converge fan has their favorite album or album that got them into them. And for me, it was actually not Jane Doe. It was You Fail Me. That was like my favorite album. I just loved everything about that album. But like this album is, it sounds like kids half their age or less than half their age putting this shit out. But that's why I think Converge is the best band, because, and that's why I think they're the best to ever do it, because like they're, as old as they are, putting out like some of the best music in the genre right now. And for being like a comeback album, it's just, yeah, it's insane.
It doesn't feel like a comeback album.
Yeah. But like when you, it kind of like, it's an album that puts their whole discography and their history and like their sound and everything into perspective because of the members that are still in this band. Like Jacob Bannon, I mean, he's a day one. He's been in this band since day one, you know, and he's such an iconic vocalist. Like he doesn't do a lot of features, but you know, he has other projects like Umbra Vitae, and I actually didn't know that project was a Jacob Bannon project until I heard the vocals, and I was like, oh no way. Like he just has such an iconic sound to his voice that you know that's Jacob Bannon. There's no hiding it. Same thing with the drumming. Like Ben Collar, he's one of the most frenetic and chaotic drummers ever. So fast, and like it's like that guy snorts caffeine before he gets on the kit, you know. He's just so full of energy, and like I just love his drumming. But like any project that he's a part of, you can just tell that by listening to the drums. It's like, oh, that's Ben Collar. Like he put out a project this year. It was like an EP or an album with another musician. It was called Salt Divination. And I listened to it, and as soon as I listened to it, I was like, oh, this has to be Ben Collar. And sure enough, like he's doing the drums on that album. It's so fucking iconic. And then you've got Nate Newton, who's one of the best bass players in the genre. And then, of course, the almighty Kurt Ballou, who's fucking legendary. Mm-hmm. So with a lineup like that, it's like, how could you go wrong? So, but yeah, such a good album. Perfect for anybody looking to get into Converge for the first time. And it's just amazing, like how long they've been doing this. They just literally put out their best shit every time. Mm-hmm. So it's fucking awesome. It makes me feel like I'm
all hail Converge.
All hail Converge, yeah. Yep.
Sick. Yeah, it was.
Converge
this whole year has been crazy.
Yeah. Converge is like, it's like Entombed, or like, you know, it's like it'll go down in this band will go down in history, people looking back on it as like the pinnacle band for so many other bands, like every other band in the genre. The same way that like Entombed was like for Converge, or like
yeah, like, you know, Entombed to Swedish death metal is the same as Converge is to hardcore and metalcore, is what it is.
Yeah,
like when you think of the pioneers of that genre, they're the first name that comes up.
Yeah. So fuck yeah. Album of the year. Cheers, right Converge.
There. Okay, my next pick here is a 3-piece female hard rock / metal band from Oregon called Hoaxed, and their album Death Dogs. And I compare it to like if you could not get enough of the Blackwater Holy Light album that came out last year, like earlier this year, then like if you're looking for another female fronted kind of psychedelic rock band, also from the Portland area, then because I think Hoaxed is going to fill that void if you wanted something else. Like if you have not heard either of these albums from like an extreme metal standpoint, it's a very easy listen, but there's so many avenues of like rock and metal, but without any like ripping leads or solos or anything like that. It kind of doubles down on the rhythm and the psychedelic atmosphere, so it's very ambient driven. Vocals are like super clean and crisp. There's some darker gutturals sometimes, supplementing the lead vocals a little bit to add to like that off-putting kind of darkened layers that are woven throughout the runtime. But like the amount of dissonance I would say that's created in this album, especially through a 3-piece band, is like super impressive. And I think for these ladies to be able to create that and still be able to put out such a solid album is like crazy impressive. So like I don't think that this is something that should not be ignored. At least give it a rip once. I think you'll be pleasantly surprised of how good it is. But yeah, very deservedly on our month-end list. So give her a spin.
Sweet. There's a lot of really great like doom and sludge and post metal that came out this month.
Well, foreshadowing, I got a couple more lined up right after this one.
Nice.
It's just unreal.
I'm keeping mine right now. I'm staying in the hardcore vein. So for this one, this is some all killer, no filler, pissed off, pure caveman violence. This is like unhinging your bottom jaw and dragging your knuckles on the pavement. This is HCPM by a band called Killing Pace. If you look at the cover of this album, it's like an ape skull with like spikes coming out of it. That is literally the perfect visual representation of what this album is from like an auditory perspective. This band features members from bands like Scarab, Division of Mind, Brain Tourniquet, Final Agony. But the sound is kind of like if you took Ingrown and Nails into a room together, and then they all had a mongoloid love child, and then they birthed the child and fed it into a wood chipper. That's what this band sounds like.
Oh, I don't want to be in that. I don't want to be in that room. Oh, that'd be disgusting.
A lot of people online have been talking about how this album is going to be their album of the year, and I can see how that is the case. Like, if you like death metal, if you like hardcore, there's a lot of like those elements. Those are kind of like the foundational elements to this band sound, but they also have a lot of grindcore and like power violence, crust punk elements to it. It's just really gritty and dirty. But like, it's not just all thrown together. It's flawless in the sense of like really great songwriting, really killer production, super like fast and blistering intensity, and all of that gives it like really good replay value. Mm-hmm. So a band that comes to mind for me with this album, just like the intensity of it, is like chamber, or even like nails, or like Harriot, like just super angry, aggressive, but like really punchy. And in my notes I put, when you listen to this album, it'll turn any old boring office job into an instant, open that fucking shit up, let's split this fucking room side to fucking side, mosh pit. You get your office mosh pit.
Yep. Get the cubicles out. You're ripping them off the floor, throwing them off to the side. Hit someone over the head with it.
Coworkers are flying across the room and out the window.
The water cooler is just like being thrown like a football across the office.
Yeah. If you need like good pump up music, or just like you're pissed off at your boss or whatever, this is a great album. It just open up a can of whoop ass.
Mm-hmm. Hell yeah.
So
beat you to a pulp.
Yeah.
Sick. Okay, I got another kind of atmospheric post-metal-ish band. This time from Switzerland though. It's a band called Wazzara and their album Arbor. Now, after you listen to Hoaxed, then you should put this album on right after it, because it's another female-fronted band. She's the only member in the band. It's a five-piece band. But they're very similar to Hoaxed in terms of like the pace and the atmosphere, but they're a little bit more abrasive in their sound. Like there's some elements of like doom, there's some black gaze, and like there's a little bit of black metal influence in there as well. So it's got a little bit more edge to it, which is nice. So that's why I'd say start with Hoaxed and then come over to this one. But there's something about like European black gaze and black metal that it seems to be more angelic. That like a lot of the same projects in North America here are released. Like even Death Heaven. Like sure they're black gaze, but it doesn't have that same level of I don't know. It's like the Europeans create a little bit more atmosphere. They put a little more emphasis on that than they do with bands over here. Again, that MAUL album that came out in January, same thing, a little more atmosphere. So this must be whatever's in the water over there. But it's just like they do the ambience right. Like it almost feels like you're walking through a forest at night, but then you have like the moon lighting your way. Like it feels scary, but then yet like you know that there's some hope because you got some light from the moon, and like it kind of has that push and pull effect. It's kind of cool. Like the vocal performance needs to be talked about more. The vocalist, her name is Barbara Brawand, and she's also the one I figured out. She designs all of their album covers too, which is kind of sick. So basically she showcases everything from like dark and black metal screams to some clean singing to like which is over the top. So like she has a huge range, and it's really, really impressive. So I think this is an album that you would feel a lot of emotions listening to. Like it's uplifting enough for you to feel the highs, but then dark enough at points for you to feel the lows. And it's just like a beautiful display of musicianship from front to back. So if you like black gaze bands paired with a little more atmosphere, then this album will be right up your alley.
Sweet. Yeah, that album was a fucking banger.
It was good.
That was
like it's like it's kind of put goosebumps on your arms.
Yeah. I like how we have a nice little yin and yang here. You have like more angelic, beautiful. I'm going absolutely vile and disgusting, especially with this next one. Yeah. So for this next one, your inner caveman shouldn't be put away just yet. Like, don't re-straighten your hunched back. Don't retract your knuckles from the pavement just yet. We have some more Unga Bungas to do.
Hell yeah.
So this album is called MAUL, Dismember, and Devour by a band called Nail in Your Coffin.
Family-friendly album.
Yeah, these guys are from Nashville, Tennessee, and it reminds me of if like Acacia Strain and Body Box and Orthodox started a side project. It's pure, unbridled rage and absolutely terrifying beat-down hardcore. It's got bone-rattling breakdowns, chunky, super low-end bass guitar where it sounds like almost like mechanical in the way that it's being played. Like, it feels like the strings are about to fall off, or it feels like the strings are not strings, they're like cables. Disgusting and unhinged guttural vocals and super, super tight pounding, but like primal drumming with just a feral double kick and really nasty snare tone. It sounds like he's not playing a snare, but he's playing like a propane tank or something. So
I like it.
Just really heavy beat down hardcore. But it's really well done. It's not like, you know, high octane core kind of hardcore. It's like just really aggressive and raw, pissed off. And it's one of those things where you put it on and it's just so heavy that all you can do is just smile and laugh because it's just like disgusting. So yeah, it's super fun in that regard. It's the most least pretentious thing you'll ever hear. It's just fucking unbridled aggression, but it's such a good album. I listened to it again yesterday while I was working at the office, and I'm like, oh yeah, this is like, it turned my frown upside down for sure. So
it's like it's impossible not to smile when listening to it.
Yeah. So yeah, it was great.
Hell yeah. Okay, now we're slow it down again.
Okay.
Because we're continue with this thing.
I like how we have this ebb and flow.
Yeah, well, that's the whole point. You got a little push and pull, yin and yang.
Yeah.
We're all good. So we got some stoner and doom metal from Pennsylvania, from a band courtesy of Purple Lung and their album Mystic Vision. This will be to conclude the female fronted portion, because it'll be 3 female fronted bands back to back to back. That was not intentional. That was just how I wrote it. But well, again, it's a slightly different path from the last band. I think Wazzara, again, listen to these in order. If you listen to Wazzara, they have some doom elements, but Purple Lung like bases its sound off of doom. Like that's their core, and it sounds really, really good. Like I'd say that doom and sludge are the ones that are the most prevalent sound. Like you also hear some alternative metal elements in there as well, and maybe a little bit of punk too. But it's basically everything that's thick and heavy and delicious is like brought together right in there. Like the vocals on this album are super good too. Like super clean vocals, they're powerful, and paired with like that dirty and sludgy instrumentation, like it just does wonders for the listening experience. And like you kind of get the best of both worlds, and the vocals almost sound more full because everything's kind of distorted on with the instruments. The vocals shine a little bit more, so it's a good pair with that. If you remember that Mesa album last year, The Spin,
Yeah.
like that the vocalist sounds very similar to that in terms of like her range and her ability. Like I remember as soon as I put it on, even though it was not like the same style instrumentally, like it's just something about those female vocalists. Some of them sound very similar, and this is where the comparison I made. But like on the surface, it should not be as groovy and as fun as it is. Like I caught myself headbanging multiple times listening to this thing, and you think like it's a doom and sludge album. It should not be, headbanging too hard, but it works so well. And like it was surprisingly one of my favorite releases of the month. Like again, not on my radar, not one that I knew of, and it just kind of snuck up there. So if you like the band Holy Serpent with like a little bit more diversity in the pace and the sound, then I think Purple Lung will also be kind of up your alley too. So first full length release from these guys. So solid release all in all. Cool. Yeah, it was good.
Nice. All right, I'm going back to the hardcore punk vibes here. This is a band from Minneapolis with their debut album called Tenebrarum, and the band is called Giallo. Like I said, this is their debut album, but it doesn't feel like that. It feels like these guys are veteran musicians that are putting out some of their best material. Super underground band. And I think that this album is like, given the fact that it's a debut and everything, it's really going to propel these guys into the forefront because it's such a good album. Anybody who's a fan of like, blackened hardcore or chaotic punk hardcore, it's like really fast, D-beat driven, two-step inducing hardcore, just straight to the face, pulls no punches, super fast, super raw, tons of energy. It's one of those albums that you listen to and you're like, oh man, these guys would be very, very intense live. It's a super infectious album. It has like a highly addictive quality to it when you put it on. First of all, there's a lot of like these creepy and kind of spacey interludes that were crafted by this project called Terror Cell Unit. So it's kind of like a collaborative type of project with the interludes. But it's one of those albums where it's like super fast, super chaotic. You're like, holy shit, what did I just listen to? And then there's like a spacey type of interlude, and then you're just sucked right back into the madness. So there is at least some reprieve in between some of the songs with these interludes, but yeah, it pulls no punches. It's really like mean and angsty. Yeah, it kind of gives me like, I don't know, like it has a lot of that punk aggression to it. Super pissed off. And but yeah, really great album. I think it's going to have a ton of like replayability, and which I think is going to make for like a cult classic type of album. And if you like bands like Scalp or Gulch or like those types of like really pissed off and aggressive hardcore bands, then this is like right up your alley, just with a more blackened kind of tinge to it. So,
sick. Yeah.
And
you know what? I'm sick and tired of talking about slow music. I want to join you. I want to go crazy. So I'm going to do just that. I got a 2-piece mathcore math grind band called Calculus. Or sorry, no, the absolute worst of the worst. And the album is called Calculus. My notes say the 2005 call. If they did, they left the most chaotic voicemail known to man and turned around and dropped the most mid-2000s chaotic mathcore album and arguably one of the craziest releases of the month. Like, that's as simple as I can put it. It's fucking bananas. Like, imagine the chaos of Danza, See You Next Tuesday, Bio Noise Generator, but then paired with shrieking vocals and growls for like 18 minutes. And it's just like if ADHD was bottled up and like spat out in an album, like that was what it would be listening to every second of this album. Like, there's so much going on. Like, there's just relentless blast beats to like the high guitar, like pitch screeches and like the cartoonish interludes. Like, it makes you contemplate what you are actually listening to at some parts. You're like, what the fuck? What are these guys on when they're making this thing? Like, they got to be tripping balls to kind of come up with this because it makes no sense, but it does. I mean, like, I don't smoke, but like, you need a cigarette after listening to this album because you're like, holy fuck! I got to take the edge off. I got to calm down, but then give yourself another 20 minutes and you'll be angsty to get back on the train and listen to it again. So if you listen to this album enough times, it's scientifically proven that you would be able to understand calculus based off of the chaos. So like, just you gotta listen to it as many times as you can, and you will become Albert Einstein. It's just a fact.
Yeah,
you didn't hear it from me. You heard it from someone else.
Yeah. The absolute worst of the absolute worst. I posted that on our Instagram, just in like our stories or whatever. And it was like, have to listen to this. And he was like, one of the members was whoever responded was like super appreciative that we shared it. You can tell they're just like super humble dudes who just like have such a passion for mathcore. And it shines through like in the music. Like, they pull inspiration from bands like Sawtooth Grin and The Heartland and See You Next Tuesday and like early Danza and like all that kind of shit. And it's just so well done and so good. But yeah, that album was like, I'm like, oh man, if this album came out in like 2005, 2006, MySpace, fuck, it would be like heralded to this day as like one of the best like throwback MySpace math grind bands from that era. Like, the way that I look at like From a Second Story Window or See You Next Tuesday or The Heartland. So it's just so good. I love when you have these like nerds that are insanely good musicians that are so passionate about the hyper niche genre of music. And because it is a fucking nerdy genre of music to be listening to and like enjoy. And like, but they just play music and just put out like the best shit ever. And it's like, fuck. I just love it so much.
This podcast is sponsored by Iron Image Barbell Club. Iron Image is located in Selkirk, Manitoba. It is the gym of choice for moi. It offers a whole host of fitness equipment. Your classic bodybuilding gym equipment. If you like to lift heavy things and listen to heavy ass fucking music, then Iron Image is the place for you. They also offer spin classes and yoga, group fitness classes, or high intensity cardio classes, if you're into that sort of thing. I enjoy going to the gym, lifting heavy shit while I listen to heavy ass music. If you enjoy that as well, then you have to check out Iron Image Barbell Club. They are fucking awesome.
kind of building on that slightly, but not really. We've got a band called LILA with their album "The Mountains Are Calling and I Must Go." And this album is so unique to me. It's so good. I just loved every minute of this thing because it reminded me so much of like that early 2000s screamo. But this album is like what you get if you took a band like Traders with like that super down tempo, slow, chopped and screwed kind of like beat down hardcore, or a
Florida hardcore.
Yeah, or like a band. There was a band, I think they were from Chicago. I could be mistaken, but they were called Barrier. And they kind of played a similar type of like down tempo hardcore. Like it kind of crosses that threshold slightly into deathcore territory, but it's not really deathcore. It's more like hardcore rooted, just with down tempo guitars. So if you mix those bands with like Sleep Sculptor or that Gnostician band, which I think featured a member or members of Sleep Sculptor, where you have that like dual vocalist approach, that then you'd get this band, LILA. It's, how do I describe it? It's like down tempo screamo. So instrumentally, this album is super crushing and pummeling. It has some really like eerie and dissonant atmosphere from the guitars. But for as heavy as this album is, it's also like beautifully restrained and almost sparse in some moments. But when you listen to it, you have this like unbearable feeling of like tension. And the one band that, when I look back on it, does that really well is actually Ion Dissonance. And Ion Dissonance, especially, which I know is a controversial album in their discography, which is their Minus the Herd album, because they changed their sound from Solace to that album so drastically with the new vocalist, and then they went to like this beat down type of sound. But the one thing about that Minus the Herd album is it has this like tense kind of like vibe throughout the whole album, where it seems like it's really simple, but it's not. It's like the space between the notes, or the space between the instruments, that really kind of creates this atmosphere. That's what this album reminds me of a lot. And then you have the vocals and the delivery of the vocals. So it's one thing to have dual vocals and have like a I don't know, like a MySpace era deathcore band where you have one guy doing lows and one guy doing highs, and they're like screaming metal lyrics. But this band it has like a screamo kind of approach to it. The lyrics have a really deep meaning to it. The cadence and the delivery of the vocals have meaning to it as well. So it's like you have one vocalist that's doing kind of like the lower range vocals, or like the mid-range kind of hardcore vocals, then another vocalist doing like the more high range screeching screamo type of vocals. But you have one vocalist that will say or scream a line, and then the other vocalist is finishing that line. But because they sound differently, it like adds to like the overall just like feeling throughout the album. And yeah, so in that sense, it's very, that band Gnostician, it reminds me of that in a sense. Lyrically, this album is very heavily narrative driven. So it's almost like, people do like spoken word poetry. This is kind of like screamed word poetry. But there is a story that they're clearly telling throughout the album. Like, it's lyrically, it's very literal and explicit. Like, if you were to read the lyrics as you're listening to the album, it's like they're telling a story. And other times, lyrically, it seems like it's very tongue-in-cheek, where you don't really know what they're talking about. But the style of vocals, the instrumentation, it creates this like feeling of tension and inner turmoil and suffering, almost like you are being trapped, not inside of like a dark space, but like a dark place in your mind, coupled by maybe like a place that you can't leave, like a town, like a small town, or like you feel the feeling of being trapped somewhere. It's kind of what the vibe that I got. It was kind of an unsettling album, to be honest, to listen to. So yeah, I don't know, it was really cool. And then it came out on Wax Vessel, which Wax Vessel is like pioneering that throwback MySpace kind of deathcore, screamo, mathcore type of sound, where they're bringing a lot of those older releases back with the blessing and the help of some of those MySpace bands, while also offering a platform for newer releases like Killing of a Sacred Deer or LILA or Abrupt Decay or those types of bands, which is really, really cool. And they just, like, aesthetically, this whole album, like from the album cover to the artwork to everything, it's just so cohesive and feels so cool. So I'll definitely be following these guys for a while, and anything that Wax Vessel puts out is like usually pretty fucking legit. So I'm stoked on it.
Hell yeah. The Wax Vessel, the new sleeper label.
Yeah.
Could be.
Yeah. Well, and it's cool, like, they're collaborating with so many bands like See You Next Tuesday and stuff like that, and they're re-releasing albums. I love their approach to it, where it's like we were talking about how this is really nerdy and kind of like a niche subgenre, but they give this style of music or this genre like almost like a exclusive appeal, where they're releasing merch or vinyl or albums that are limited releases, and so it makes that niche mean more, because it's like, you could get a vinyl from this band and it's going to be one of 200 ever released ever, and so it makes this niche more rare in a sense. So it's kind of cool. So it's a little bit of like the feeling of being a part of a scene, but I think there's also something special to being a part of a scene, because it is such a important piece of art and like in our history, this style of music, that it should be respected and treated almost like like it's exclusive. So yeah, long-winded review to say killer album. It's a piece of art, amazing. Listen to it. It's fucking great.
That's it. That's all. Okay, now I will try and follow that up with my short review of Mirrorcell's album Long Nights in Lovescape.
Touch makes me go so
Mirrorcell, they're like a metalcore / modern new metal type band. They're from Missouri, and like if you hear new metal, like this is not a Fred Durst, Johnny Davies type of new metal. Like that's not what you're getting here. You're getting like a killer take on new metal with like some sick 7-string heavy guitars, bass heavy riffs, some intricate electronic elements, paired with like some like the duality of the crisp and clear clean vocals, and there's some dark and brutal screams in there too. So it's kind of like, again, best of both worlds, but still kind of keeping that like that balance that new metal is really known for. Like it's a pretty good trade-off. Like I think its style of metal is more tailored to like a mainstream listening platforms with like the catchy choruses and like the more clean parts than like a typical quote underground album would have.
Kind of like a Thornhill or like.
Yeah, that's exactly what I put. I put like Thornhill, Architects, Mood Ring. Those are the ones that you're kind of like up against. Also, Mood Ring releasing a new album the day before we're recording this. I haven't got there yet, but I'm excited to listen to it. But like they do that more so in a sense because they want to appeal to like a wider audience, which I get it. It's kind of like how we're talking about with Converge. Like sometimes you just need those albums to get you into the scene or into a band. Like this is their place. This is what they have to do. I think this album has its place in the scene, but I think it's a sort of fun listen to try and cleanse the palate a little bit, listen to something a little bit lighter, see what else is out there, see what's kind of quote mainstream now. But there's some sprinkles of heavier moments in there too to kind of keep the heavy music demons at bay. So it's not like you're possessed only by like blackened death metal or like grindcore or something where it's like you listen to that stuff for so long. It's like it's like a drug addict looking for the next strongest drug. It's just you have someone who does meth and then they try and come back and drink a beer. And it's just like that beer doesn't taste nearly as good as what meth, I assume, feels like. I don't know. But you get my point.
Yeah.
So
no, I had somebody recently ask me, do you only listen to death metal? And I was like, no, I also listen to like doom, sludge, and new metal. And they were like, that, but that still kind of went over their head. And they're like, what? Like, what about Nickelback? I'm like, so this kind of music, this like style of metalcore, mainstream, modern sounding metalcore, is kind of like my idea of like mainstream metal or like more easy listening, digestible metal. But it's still underground for other people.
Like someone on the street, they'd call that screamo.
Yeah.
like there would be clean singing for 90% of the song, and they have one chorus with like one bleh or like one breakdown, and then all of a sudden it's just labeled as screamo across the board. So you're so deep in the weeds when you bring that out. But like it's just it's a fun, bouncy listen. So then if you like those aforementioned bands that I had talked about earlier that we talked about, then give her a shot, get yourself in the scene. But I'm sure if you're listening to this podcast, you're already too far deep in the scene. So send it to a friend who wants to get into the scene.
So I'm going to continue in the same exact vein as you. So there's a band from Montreal, and it's called Parapariah with their album Whispers in the Dark. And in my notes, I've just put, the kids will be all right. And what I mean by that is this album, like I'm kind of like an old head, but when I listen to this kind of music and I see like younger people playing this kind of music, it's like, man, it's the perfect example. This album perfectly encapsulates everything that I like grew up listening to. So it's got like new metal, modern metalcore. There's like some hip hop elements in this, just with like the vocal cadence and rhythm and stuff. Post-hardcore, emo, grunge, like that modern shoegaze sound. But with all of that influence, it still has like a modern, fresh take and sound that's like perfect for the kids these days, you know, the modern metalcore scene. I can imagine like going to, like if these guys were to play a show or whatever and we were to go, we would be like the oldest people there probably.
Oh, guaranteed.
But yeah, really cool album. It kind of ebbs and flows through like you know, brutal metalcore, kind of bouncy and like groovy kind of rhythm, to like dreamy and clean shoegazy singing and clean guitars. And then there's just like some fucking brutally heavy parts with like deep gutturals, but kind of like that mid-range vibe, similar to like Skylar Condor from Cell and now Varials. But yeah, this vocalist has really great range. He has like that modern metalcore vocal range. But yeah, it's just a melting pot of all this goodness with like a really modern sound. And yeah, they had this song called Morphine, and it reminds me of like early 2000s emo screamo, and then it kicks into like this high octane kind of like technical metalcore song, and then there's like new metal rapping going on. It's just such a crazy melting pot of different genres, but it works really well. Mm-hmm. And the fact that they're Canadian is super fucking cool too. So excited to see where these guys go.
When you put that in the playlist, I thought you made a mistake, because I'm like, there's no way this is a new release. Like, guaranteed this was like mid 2000s, late 2000s. Like, no way is this like, you messed up here. But yeah, because you know how sometimes Spotify they'll say an album was released on a certain date, but that's actually when it was just uploaded to the platform. Like, it wasn't actually released on that day. Yeah. So I thought that's what it was, but no, sure enough, it was a new release. Mm-hmm. So yeah, impressed with that one too. Mm-hmm. Okay, next one I got up. More mainstream band. More people will know who these guys are, or should know who these guys are. It's Celosis and their album, The New Flesh. Again, metalcore band from the UK, if for some reason you haven't heard of them. Like, this is your high octane metalcore album that has like that 2010s feel to it. The one thing that I love about this album is like they're staying true to their sound. Like, a lot of modern metalcore bands are like electing to use like the 7 and 8 string guitars to try and go for like that gent route, which I mean has its place. But it's also nice to hear some new music that is just like has that heavy metalcore flair, and it doesn't deviate from that at all. Like, it just goes you to show that just because something is tuned low and is turned down doesn't mean it's always better. They're sticking to the guns, which is good. The speed in this album is like front and center, in my opinion. Like, melodic riffs, you got some groovy leads as well. Like, you got it tied up on the bow with like some powerful and clean vocals, and like the cleans aren't displayed too much throughout the album, but it's just like a nice touch to sprinkle them in throughout the album. The riffs are more focused on like the groove and intensity, which kind of makes it for more of like a bouncy and like a fun listen. But they still maintain somewhat of that edge, which is good. Like if you're, again, someone who hasn't heard of these guys before, I can compare them to like a slightly heavier Trivium with like some chunkier riffs and like some deeper gutturals, but with like the heavy metal influence metalcore that like Trivium does so well. So I mean, yeah, very solid album. And again, anyone who wants to get into like the metal scene or kind of the metalcore scene, and they're looking for an album or even a band to try and break through, then I'd say that these guys are the ones for you to pop your cherry with. So give her.
Sweet. And following in the same vein, this next album is from a band from Ohio that specializes in groove metal, and that is Divine Threat with their album Pillar of Agony. This band blends like your traditional metal / metalcore with more thrash and groove elements to create this like modern edge. Think Silosis, Lamb of God, Chimera. There's some Fear Factory elements, and then there's some throwback like, mellow death, late 90s mellow death elements to this. But it's just like meat and potatoes, all American metal that pulls no punches. And it's one of the least pretentious things that you'll listen to on this entire list for February. Just like super aggressive, thrashy, pissed off riffs, really like pissed off and driving drums, really like, fast and like technical soloing, vicious and compelling riffs, just like good old fashioned American metal, really great musicians. I just love the first track, Deceiver. You put it on and it has like the gallop kind of guitars, and you're just like, fuck yeah, this is gonna be good.
Strap right in.
And that kind of energy just kind of like carries you throughout the album. The vocalist kind of reminds me of the vocalist from a band that's no longer a band, but they were called A Life Once Lost. Kind of that like Lamb of God style vocal delivery. But Life Once Lost was one of my favorite American groove metal bands, kind of with more of like that hardcore energy to it. But as soon as I heard the opening track of this album, I was like, okay, this is giving Life Once Lost vibes. The thing I can picture in my mind with this band is like wristbands and like long hair and just dudes who love to fucking barbecue, drink beer, and listen to metal.
You got Carhartts on.
Yeah, and then jump into a push pit. This is like push pit metal,
big boys.
Big boys, yeah. But yeah, really good album. If you're just looking for no bullshit, fucking great musicianship, all American metal, it's a good band. Good album.
Sick. Yeah, buddy. Okay, we're doing a little bit of a slight detour here. I don't think we've talked about any like kind of straightforward deathcore yet. But like this one's symphonic deathcore from Massachusetts, called Worm Shepherd, and their album Dawn of the Iconoclast. To me, this is how modern deathcore should sound. Like there's no stupid long breakdowns and pig snarls and inhales and redundant breakdowns. Like if there is a breakdown, it's short and sweet and still possesses some musical ability, which again gets lost so much nowadays. So like the one thing that I loved besides that was the fact that it was still intense and it remained high octane, and it was only 24 minutes long. Like it made it super easy to enjoy, made it like basically wanting more after the fact. Like you could basically put it on twice and circle it over and you'd totally be fine. And yet that'd still be considered like a full length album for some other bands. I would say that Worm Shepherd is kind of closer into the realm of Shadow of Intent than they are Lorna Shore. I think Shadow of Intent is one of, if not the best symphonic deathcore band in the game right now. But they also do it in such a way where they're more focused on the cadence and the style of their playing, and not so much just with the atmosphere and the breakdowns and everything. They actually possess some musical ability, which is why I make that comparison with them. But then also the vocalist of this band is a beast, and like he can hit the lows, he can hit the highs with screams and bellows with like the best of them with Bender. Like the band is full of intensity, and like it's not that easy to do that, to be able to have that ebb and flow, and it's apparent right from the get-go. So if you're looking for an album that's going to leave some goosebumps on your skin and your hair standing up on end, yeah, definitely check out this album, because it's not gonna disappoint, I promise you.
Yeah, it was really fucking heavy, scary.
The album cover reminded me of like a Crown Magnetar type album. I don't know what that thing is or what that person is, but it looked like a Crown Mag album.
Yeah, I think those guys might have another full length coming out, which is
that'd be nice.
Pretty cool. Super heavy band. Okay, so I'm gonna scale it back a little bit here, in terms of the brutality. This is a band from Boston, Massachusetts, and it actually surprised me because it came out on Relapse Records. So when it came out, I was like, okay, I like the album cover. It's kind of like a floating stone head over like an ocean or a lake. Kind of has like really cool colors, and I'm like, I wonder what kind of band this is. I've never heard of this band, but I was like very, very, very surprised at how good this album was. And it's a band called Final Gasp with their album New Day Symptoms. And never heard these guys before. Didn't realize that Relapse put out this kind of music, but it's basically, how can I describe it? It's like super unique. It's like if you took 80s thrash riffs, even with the same kind of like washed out guitar tone, and you blended it with like turnstile hardcore, which is kind of like washed out, approachable hardcore, and you blended that with like goth rock and like post-punk elements, post-metal elements even, and then you added some like Ozzy or Sabbath era doom elements, you would get this band. It's like modern day dad rock, but like heavy dad rock. They call themselves death rock, but I would say it's like dad rock for guys in their 30s and 40s who were in the hardcore scene but they also listen to Ozzy or Danzig. This is like perfect blend of all of those sounds.
What when the
really
wife
great.
puts the restraint on the listening ability, and she's like,
Yeah.
you gotta tone it down a little bit, but like you still need
Yeah,
that.
you're scaring the children. Yeah, you're scaring the children. Yeah, but it's like really fresh and approachable. It's just super cool. Like it has a lot of the goth rock vibes to it, but then it has like some heavier post metal, post punk elements with just like 80s thrash or like hair metal solos and riffs. It's just a really fun album. Definitely something that, you know, it's kind of in the rotation of like easier listening type of albums, but I really thoroughly enjoyed it. I listened to it while I was at the gym, and at first I'm like, oh, this sounds like Turnstile, and then I'm like, nope, this sounds like Ozzy, and then like, nope, this sounds like, it just has so many of these twists and turns, but they blend everything together so seamlessly and nicely, and just a great overall listen. I can't say enough good things about it. So
Sick. Could be a new subgenre. Death rock.
Death rock. It was cool.
Okay, I'm gonna go on a string here. We got some more stoner and doom metal bands here, so I'm gonna go on a tangent here. I'm gonna
Nice.
start off with one from Poland. The band's called Beelzebong, and their album "The End Is High." Like this was again, and I don't know what it is with this year, with there being so many stoner and doom metal albums, but they're also so good, and also the most insane names ever. Anyways, but like, I think this is one of the best albums of the month still. Like the instrumental aspect of this album is too unique, and it was something that was chill with like chunky riffs and everything. And it was just the beauty lies in the simplicity, and that's what this album had. Like it's only a 4-song album, with most of the songs being above 8 minutes in length, but like not once did you feel like the album was being dragged on or was dull or anything by the stretch of the imagination. I like the dual guitars in this album. Have like the contrast of like the thick and the chunky riffs with like the second guitar kind of floats off into the distance and like does its own quirky thing at time to time. Like it makes it feel very Blood Incantation like. It's like throughout some of the other parts of the album, but like more doom, not so much like cosmic atmosphere driven. But like I've been a big fan of like stoner and doom albums over the years, just because like it makes for great, fantastic driving and like mindless activity type listening albums. And like this album possesses a little bit more creativity, like to hold me over while listening to it, which I found super nice. And again, didn't become stale, and like one that I could see being in heavy rotation for me just because of how creative it is, you know, and everything like that. So it's just one of my favorite straight and doom albums. So like if you need some music, like chill out, bang your head, you know, like at a pace of a snail, just like ever so slightly, just up and down. It's, you know, smoke a joint. If that's what you do, just chill out and listen to this. Like throw on Beelzebong and you'll be styling.
Sick. I'm gonna follow suit with a band from Florida called Skeletizer with their album Sounds from the Doom Shed. And I actually heard this album after we had compiled this list. I was listening, if anybody is into like doom and sludge, there is a kind of like a page on Bandcamp that everybody should follow. It's called Weedian, Weedian. And it's a page that puts together new releases, whether it's singles or EPs or albums, into a compilation for each month, specializing in like doom and sludge. And they put out like monthly compilations of different artists and different bands. And I was just kind of going through it because some of the Facebook groups and stuff that we're a part of, they post this kind of music, but not all of them do. So you have to find like some more underground shit sometimes. So I found this band, and they're so good. They're from Florida, and they play like a blackened doom and roll. It's like doom metal with like rock and roll riffs. And this album is soaked in like stoner haze with like the fuzzy guitars. And it feels like you're getting dragged through a dirty, filthy swamp in Florida. It's so good. It's perfect for just like sitting around in the yard, drinking, smoking, barbecuing, or like mowing the lawn. And
smoking some grass, cutting some grass.
Exactly. Yeah.
Everything with grass.
Or drinking beers in the garage. Like, it's, if you like bands like Midnight, High on Fire, Death Chant, you know, you fucking any doom or sludge band that likes it fast and dirty, this is a little bit on the faster side, a little bit more riff heavy, but it has some slow parts as well, which is, you know, all you can do is just fucking get in the zone, bang your head, and you're just like, hell yeah, brother. So yeah,
gain a few pounds while listening to it.
Yeah, put on the LBs.
Sick.
Yeah.
Well, I'm gonna continue on with that, and except we're going across the pond, and we're going to Greece. Let me cross the pond a little bit more. This band's called Oath, and their album Unteach.
People are stuck in the ways, just like the stuck in the heads. Enduring all of the Messiah, the desolation knows no end.
Like, if you wanted to start a doom band, I think a requirement should be like you at least like Black Sabbath, because everyone knows that's the epitome of all doom. But like, these band members, like, they adore Iomi and Sabbath. So I think like you're off to a good start for creating like a good stoner and doom band. Like, in a month, like we said, full of great releases in stoner and doom metal. Like, how these guys stand out are partially due to the vocals. Like, they're more high pitched, they're a little bit more sharp and abrasive than some of the other bands this month. But the other thing that they do super well is they do a lot of like spoken moment pieces as well, like throughout like the pain and anguish, kind of similar to like a Ken Mode-esque, I would say. So again, that helps it stand out amongst the rest. Like, but the guitars themselves should be like the mayor of Riff City, bar none. Like, tons of signature Iomi like hammer-ons and pull-offs that are featured throughout, like. And then you got like the punchy and chunky guitars, and they pack tons of groove, and like even some of like the flanger parts kind of make their way to the solos, and like they transport you back into the 70s and 80s, like that Austin Power riding car time machine. Like, you're sitting in the back there, instead of listening to disco, you're listening to this shit, and you're flying back there in your plush covered seats and your lapels and everything just off to the side, and everything else is just so much better back in the day. But like, I would say like this is like if you were thinking about the heyday of music in like the 70s and 80s, I think this style of music is like the resurgence of that, and it's just a more modern and a more crisp album to listen to. So I think if you're looking for something that is just like unapologetically Black Sabbath from the start, then Oath is gonna tickle your fancy and like satisfy any doom metal itch that you might have laying around. So
Sick.
mm-hmm.
I'm gonna continue to scratch that itch a little bit with a band from Toronto called Sun Decay with their album The Blood Lives Again. And this album is so fucking good. It's doom, but it's a doom album, but more on the progressive leaning and atmospheric side of things. It's one of those albums that you listen to and you're like, it brings a tear to your eye because you're like, that was fucking beautiful. It just has this captivating, emotional, kind of like mood building wall of sound that just like pulls you in. And at some points in time it's like really haunting, some points in time it's like really dreamy and uplifting, but it has all of those classic doom elements, and it actually starts off more straightforward, kind of like doom sludge, and then it starts to drift into that more atmospheric place. But the first song on this album, it's called Here Comes the Wizard. And it's so, I kid you not, if somebody came to me and they're like, what is doom? I would just send them the song. I'd be like, just listen to this. That's doom. It's super fun. It's super straight to the point. It's catchy. Guitar work, it's just so riffy and like all like, yeah, it's incredible. But this album is really dynamic. The guitars sound massive. Like it's like you're getting hit with this like wall. It's like a tangible kind of thing. And then you have the drumming and the bass, which just kind of like flourish behind the wall of guitars. The production is like really well done. It's super thick and chunky without being like suffocating. But it's one of those albums that's just a journey. You just a soundscape that you just have to immerse yourself in. You just have to like give yourself to it and let it take you on the magical carpet ride. But it's like it's a great front to back listen. It's good. It's so good that you can be a stoner or not. And if you're not, it'll make you feel like you're totally baked. Like it'll make you feel like you're, because it's just so ethereal, magical, and the journey that it takes you on musically is just like, am I fucking baked right now? Oh wait, no.
You gotta get like yourself some heavy headphones and throw those fuckers on, get the noise canceling on there, and just like immerse yourself in the vibe.
Yeah, it's a vibe. It's the best way I can describe. So one thing I love about, I've never listened to so much doom metal in my life, but like I love just how captivating and immersive it can be. I mean, there's a reason why it was born out of the 60s and 70s when all this stuff is being written when people were high on acid and LSD and shit.
No one was sober in the 60s and 70s.
No.
But
yeah,
sick. Okay, I got my last one here for stoner and sludge metal. And these guys, again, in a place that you would never expect there to be stoner and sludge. These guys are from Iceland. And the band's called Sleeping Giant, in their album The Beauty of Obliteration. Like if you thought the month was over, like you were wrong. There's more. This is another one. I would say like this one would go down on record as like one of the best release months for stoner and doom in like recent memory. I can't remember the last time that we've had so many good releases. This one has a bit more pace though to some of the other releases that we've talked about so far, but it doesn't waver from the heaviness at all. Which and like tons of power and everything like that, which is super impressive to balance that speed and aggression. The vocals on this thing are crazy, like super deep gutturals. I think they would probably rival like some of the nastiest death metal bands that you could find out there today. And like it cuts through a knife, and then you have all these like giant riffs, no pun intended, to like leave you stank faced and stoned. It's just like, even being like, these guys are a 6-piece band, and like every instrument is used so well and so methodically, and it layers everything so well, but then yet listening to it, you're able to pick apart everything, which is still crazy impressive. Like listening to this album gave me huge Mastodon vibes from like the speed changes in the song structure, maybe a little bit of Sabbath in there as well for like some of the more melodic doom parts. But like all in all, again, another super solid release. I think like this one should appeal to the diehard metalhead and like also the casual dads who are just like need some garage beer drinking music, and just like they need a little bit of edge to their day. But yeah, they still want to get the pass. They want to have the wife yelling at them, telling them to turn their shit off. So this is kind of like pushing the boundaries, but yeah, not stepping over the line too far. So yeah. Don't quote sleep on these guys.
Nice.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, it was a great album.
So true.
So I'm also on my last kind of like sludge doom album, and for the month, and this one was an absolute heater of an album. These guys are from the UK, and the band is called Matador, with their album Above, Below, and So. And these guys play a mix of like post-metal, sludge, doom, post-rock. This album has a 42-minute runtime. If you like bands like Intronaut, Cult of Luna, Mammoth Storm, ISIS, the band, not the terrorist organization.
Just disclaimer.
Yeah, or even Neurosis. This band plays a form of all of those genres that is very rich in atmosphere, and it also carries this like really earthy doom vibe throughout the album that like any stoner or haze kind of like doom fan would revel over. It's very expansive. It has a lot of atmosphere, which is really cool. But then it has this like punchiness and grit through like the sludge and the post-metal elements. Again, this is another full body of work that deserves like a full front to back listening experience, because this album, it takes time for it to do its work. Like, you could pick out a song here or there, put them in a playlist, but I feel like that would be doing this album a disservice, because it's such a good and amazing listening experience that you need to kind of have that full immersive, dedicate 42 minutes to your day kind of vibe. But yeah, it's a really, really good album. Vocally, it's unbelievable. And yeah, again, just can't say enough good things about it, to be honest. I'm a huge sucker for post-metal and you know, bands like Neurosis, Isis, shit like that. I just, yeah, can't get enough of it. So thought this was a phenomenal listen.
Absolutely. Bringing it back.
Yeah.
Okay, now we're out of the doom and sludge. Done. Now we're into some metallic hardcore from Pennsylvania with a band called Varials and their album Where the Light Leaves. Sometimes you need a band just to create some absolute chaos and like induce fear into the general population. And this is that album to do so. That got released in February. Like everything from the disgusting bass tone as if it's like being played through molasses, and you have like the unrelenting vocals and like the guitars that chug so hard like you probably could cause someone to go into a seizure if they kept on listening to it. Like put all that shit together, put it up in a cauldron of pure chaos, and then you're getting Burials. It is insane. Like the intensity of this album, I would say, is all in the same vein of like Jesus Peace, with some like Kublai Khan style breakdowns, guitar tones, and even the vocals are kind of similar to Matt's of Kublai Khan's. A couple of shoegazy parts in there as well that I actually somewhat enjoyed. Like very similar to Deftones in that sense, like down-tuned guitars, but like the distant kind of sound cleaning vocals. I don't know how they do it with like that distortedness, but if you know, you know. Like, but are you like this album knows its place? Like, are you gonna be blown away with its technical ability? No, but like in the same breath, again, it's not their role. Like you just know that you're gonna be blown away by the intensity and that they're bringing the power like with each stroke of that guitar pick. Like they're gonna be bringing it, so you better be ready. And like they're gonna cause you to fuck shit up, and like whatever path's in the way, it's just they're coming, and it's either you move or you're gonna get fucked. So, again, like if you're fans of Jesus Peace, Kublai Khan, maybe Boundaries, then like this is the band that's gonna be for you. So yeah, check these guys out.
Sick. Yeah, and the vocalist is a beast. I saw them live. Well, I saw him live with his other band, Cell, at Park Theater, and he is just an animal. Like his vocals are so they're so like punchy and like they don't let up, and he just like stares at you in your soul and is just like gonna take it from you. So it's incredibly this is Varials is always like a really scary band, like beat down hardcore band, but like having him kind of be the new frontman for Varials, fuck, it's like game over.
Look the fuck out.
Yeah. So I'm going to Australia now with probably one of the best progressive metalcore albums that I've heard, at least in the last 5 years. And this album is going to be on many people's album of the year lists when it comes to this style of metalcore. People are talking about it like mad online. And it's the band Above Below with their album, I Guess It Was Nowhere. So this is in terms of modern metalcore, this is like a masterpiece. It's, if you took bands like Invent Animate or Currents, Loathe, and even like there's some elements of Contortionist, in terms of some of the more kind of like mathy and like I don't know, like off kilter kind of guitars, then you'll fucking love this. It's an absolute masterclass in progressive metalcore. Some of the most talented musicians to ever grace the instruments. You know, Australia is like just such a crazy place for musicianship. And yeah, I think this was the last time these guys put on an album was like 7 or 8 years ago. And they're kind of like they were kind of like a more underground metalcore band, but like listening to this album, it could definitely be up there or rival some of the more modern metalcore acts right now. This album it's a front to back listen, because each song is meant to like seamlessly transition into the next. It has like this kind of like flow to it. There's tons of crazy like djenty guitars, crazy groove, but then there's like really dreamy and ethereal, spacey atmosphere that's kind of like brought on by electronics, a mix of like electronic synth and like guitar. But then there's a groove happening with the bass, and then a separate groove happening with guitars, and then a separate groove happening with the drums. And it's kind of like just a really beautiful listening experience. But then there's some really heavy parts that are like super brutal and technical. You know, the drummer is going from like almost free form groove or jazz style drumming to just like nasty blast beats. And yeah, it's like really, really awesome. Listen, the vocalist too, his range is just insane. Like he goes from these really unique sounding this like really unique sounding singing style that's like high pitch but also a little bit abrasive and like pissed off, to like super deep gutturals or like Architects style like mid-range screams. He just has a really incredible range to his voice. So, but yeah, if you like any of those aforementioned bands, you have to check this one out, because it's a really great album. I'm not usually into like the more modern metalcore stuff. I kind of get, you know, especially when it starts to veer into the like that mainstream kind of high octane shit. But this is not that. It is like, it's not something that you would hear on like Liquid Metal or something like that on Sirius XM. It's like more underground, but just really, really, really well done.
Cuts off all the fat.
Yeah. It's fucking great.
Hell yeah. Okay, 2 more. Then I got one coming up here. Canadian band from Calgary, mathcore band called Indigo Ice, and their album No Closure. Danza 5 has not been released yet. We don't know when, but it's going to be released this year. So this album will tie you over just until that album gets released. So like I'd say it's just as chaotic as Danza 3 or 4, with like the same intensity and chaos, but then it has like that atmosphere between songs that Danza 4 was known for. They kind of did that same thing, which was pretty sweet. These guys aren't a Danza ripoff though. Like there's still plenty of inspiration again from Car Bomb, Frontier, with like the aggressive vocals, the noodly bass, and like the punishing vocals where it's just like unrelenting. There's no clean singing, there's no nothing. It's just straight to the point, beating you down. the entire time I was listening to this album, I just felt like I was like a shirt in a washing machine, just like being tossed around into the abyss of mathcore. I being thrown around. I don't know, left from right, up from down. Like it's just, it was. But at the same time, I just love being in it. Like it's just, you have to be in it. You gotta embrace it. You just gotta feel it, and it's just so much fun. Makes you want to move around. Makes you want to jump at the walls. Like it's just like it creates or releases something in you that I don't know what it is. It makes it so fun. And again, it's original and it's groovy. It didn't become stale. And like again, 26 minutes. It's not very long to get in and out, and it kind of left a mark. That's for sure. I'd say this is probably the second most complex non-death metal album that we released or that we listened to this month. I'd put obviously the Calculus album ahead of this one, but like this one's a very, very close second. So, and a very underrated release too. Like they do not have very many listeners on Spotify or anything like that. So I mean, extremely good. So you want a good old Canadian band to rip, then yeah, show these guys some love and get on it.
Fuck yeah. That was a ass beater of an album.
Ass beaters lightly. I was putting it lightly.
So I'm going with mine. I'm going to Stockholm, Sweden. And this is a band called Merit with their album Sweetness Fades. They kind of play like a blend of hardcore, post-hardcore with some mathcore and sludge elements. If you like bands like Portrayal of Guilt or Converge, Full of Hell, this album is right up your alley. It's super fucking heavy. It's really raw. It's super like tightly written and aggressive. But it has a lot of weird experimental instrumentation sprinkled throughout as well, such as some saxophone, similar to like what Ken Mode does now. It's really dark, and this album has a lot of that like push and pull tension that creates for like a dark and then settling atmosphere. It has a lot of like super uncompromising riffs and like dissonance that leads heavily into this feeling of discomfort and like disgust. But it's an album much like the Giallo album that is just the right amount of chaos where it like compels you and like gets its hooks in you and you can't let go until it's all over and you're like, what the fuck did I just listen to, you know? But yeah, really great album from Sweden, and yeah, cool band that I'll be, you know, sure to keep my eye on for the foreseeable future.
Absolutely. Yeah, you don't see a lot of like progressive bands that are like from Sweden. Usually they're all wrapped up in some level of death metal, but
yeah,
it's nice to have a little bit of variety there.
Yeah.
Okay. Last album of the everything else is a progressive metal band from Georgia called Palaces, and their album Sun Hunting. Now, I don't know if anyone here is like expecting a new Mastodon release, but I don't think we're gonna get one. But I think this album is going to be a close second with Sun Hunting. And if you don't know, Billy Kelleher mastered and produced this album. So like if you're wondering how they got like that prime Mastodon sound, then that's how they got it, which I think is huge on their part.
Such a good album.
It is unreal. Like the base of their sound is like rooted in sludge metal, but there's also some more traditional metal elements in there as well. but like have some layered guitars or odd time signatures to kind of keep the listener guessing in on their toes. So it makes it a really fun listening experience. I would say that the ambience definitely challenges like a listener as well. Like you have a more uplifting soundscape, but then you pair it with like the punchiness and ferocity of like the instrumentation. It's almost kind of like pop punk like in some sections. But then the choruses are like more melodic, and it kind of creates like a feel good feeling type album. But yeah, it's got like some, I don't know, a little off puttingness to it, if you want to call it. It's really interesting. Another band that I think would be a good comparison to these guys would be Gojira, but it's like it's more punchy. Like in their style of music and their song structure is very similar to Gojira. But I wouldn't say it's as aggressive. It's more progressive than what Gojira is. But still, yeah, super, super good. So like if you're looking for something that's like diverse and an electric progressive metal album, then I mean Palaces should be next up on your queue list. So yeah, this one is a don't skip album, that's for sure.
Hell yeah. That was such a good release.
And that album was kind of cool too. It looks somewhat like a Mastodon album with like the boat there and everything. It's pretty cool.
Yeah. Pink.
Pink Pony Club.
All right. All right. Last one for me is a raw screamo, mathcore, post-hardcore band from the Philippines. It's a band called Limbs with their album Like a Poet, Keen to the Rustle of Leaves. This is Limbs' final album. When they posted it, they said this is their fourth and final album. They've been playing this style of screamo for 10 years now. So this album is supposed to serve as a legacy to their sound and of their love for humanity. There is an overarching theme to this album that I haven't really dug into, but I just love this style of screamo, or as kids are calling it now, emo violence.
I feel so wrong.
Yeah, I know. But it's a super introspective album, both in the instrumentation and the vocals. It's highly emotional and raw. But it has like a lot of those hardcore elements. The vocals are very like early screamo, but it's punchy, it's aggressive, just the right amount of like mathy and kind of off-kilter skronky guitars with like some bluesy bass lines and stuff like that. You have really amazing drumming with like blast beats and groove and technicality. The bass is like rattling, it's like bone shattering bass. Guitars are melodic yet grinding, and the dual vocal approach is super unhinged and emotional, and that's what kind of drives a lot of that power and that emotion through the music. When I think of like screamo bands, this style is right up my alley. It's like perfect. Another band that I really enjoy that kind of does a similar style of screamo is called Malevich, Malevich, and it's just really raw, chaotic, and just like really gross sounding, but kind of has like, you know, that's where the Converge comes in, like the influence of Converge comes into the sound, you know, and some of the like late 90s screamo bands that you just don't really see nowadays. The fact these guys are from the Philippines too is super fucking impressive. Like, I can't imagine that's an easy country to navigate around being with this kind of music, being that it's like hyper Catholic and religious. So, but yeah, great album. And my first time listening to these guys, so it's kind of bittersweet that they're breaking up or this is their final album. But at least they have 3 other albums and some other releases before this that I got to go back and kind of scope through. And yeah, I'll add them all to my listening list, and I'll have music for years to come and discover. So
Absolutely. And then who knows?
Yeah.
The amount of bands that have said that they're not playing anymore and they've come back is a lot.
Mhm.
So who knows? Maybe
Yeah,
this will be
it's also an
another one to make an exception.
It's also an opportunity when, a band goes their separate ways, other members start or join other projects, and they can be equally as good or if not better. So yeah,
Fair enough.
not everything not everything lasts forever. So
Yeah, fair, true. And that's it. That's all.
and that concludes our journey on this month's episode of the Everything Else Real Heavy podcast
Absolutely.
for February. Look forward to March, which will be disgustingly heavy and
Mhm. Even more
insane
heavy.
amount of music. Yeah. All right, guys. Peace in the Middle East.
Be sure to like, subscribe, comment if we
Yeah.
missed anything that we didn't mention here, and yeah, maybe we'll review it at a later date. So
Yeah. Share with your friends and family, and helps with the algorithm.
absolutely. So
All hail the algorithm.
we're not worthy.
Okay, see you guys. Thanks so much. Catch you in the next one.
Peace.